attack on the absolute fundamental of free and fair election should alarm all of us.
The Russians didn't care if we found out. This is pretty new.
They stole the data. Let's be clear about it. I don't like this word hacking. This is theft. If the Russians walked into my house and took something out, this is exactly the same thing. And I think the problem that a lot of Americans have with it is that they don't see it, they don't think of it that way.
The goal was plausible deniability. And you'll hear that even in Vladimir Putin's statements.
If they are patriotic, they contribute in a way they think is right, to fight against those who say bad things about Russia.
If there were people in the Trump campaign who colluded in any of that, those people are serious criminals. Because there were serious crimes people committed in 2016 to influence the U.S. elections.
Once it looked like Trump was going to be the clear nominee, the Alagrovs resurfaced and they said, we are obviously supportive of the Trump campaign, but more importantly, we're doing so with the blessing of the Russian government and with Russian government.
And they promised there would be the delivery of information on Hillary Clinton's campaign. Donald Trump Jr. emailed back, "Great, I love it." Here we see what appears to be evidence of collusion.
Donald Trump Jr. forwarded the emails to Paul Manafort, then the campaign manager, and Jared Kushner. They both sat in on the meeting.
Conspiracies are very easy to enter into if indeed pass an agreement furthering that conspiracy. Boy, they're in, and they're on the wrong side of the law.
Trump being pressed early on in the campaign for a list of his foreign policy advisors. The second name he mentions is PhD.
No one had heard of Carter Page. He had worked for Merrill Lynch in Moscow.
He had been an investor in a defender of the Putin government, a critic of sanctions.
Carter Page traveled over to Moscow with permission of the Trump campaign as a senior advisor to Donald Trump.
Washington and other Western capitals have impeded potential progress through their often hypocritical focus on ideas such as democratization, inequality, corruption, and regime change.
The Steele dossier alleges that Carter Page met with Igor Sechin, who is head of Rosneft, the enormous Russian oil company. Sechin happens to be very, very close to Vladimir Putin.
Sechin was his closest friend in the intelligence services.
They came up with a scheme by which sanctions would be lifted on Russia. In return, when parts of Rosneft were sold off, a huge portion of it, I believe it was 19% of it, would be diverted.
This could have been another way enormous cash resources to Donald between figures associated with the Russian agents of influence that they were very
When the administration asked for a bipartisan statement saying the Russians were active and they were trying to interfere with the election, they were blocked by the Republican leadership.
When I was working in the House of Representatives, especially as the policy director for the House Republicans, I was part of many discussions. One of them was on June 15th. One of the leaders speculated that Trump had a compromising relationship with Putin. A very serious allegation to make, but